Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Troy Devlin. I'm a men's health coach and I specialize in weight loss. And in this video, I thought I could give you a little free health coaching. And if you're into that kind of thing, I ask that you smash that subscribe button, hit the like, hit the bell. And so, that way I can be your free health coach here on YouTube. And it's an honor to be able to do that. I just have so much gratitude to YouTube for allowing me to be here and speak to y'all. And I would ask YouTube directly to monetize my channel. Let's get those subscribers up because I'm just thrilled to create this space for people who need help. So let's say that's you. Let's say there's someone that you know who maybe is struggling to lose weight. It's something I'm intimately familiar with. I'm not here preaching at you as some type of guru or expert. I'm a human on a healing journey that has been overweight, and that every single day has to be mindful about my food choices and many of the choices I make navigating my day to make sure that I don't go back to that other way of thinking, being, and doing, because that other way is not where it's at, guys. The overweight life is not where it's at. And there are all types of blocks and traumas that men have which lead to them eating their feelings. And guys, if that's you, I understand. That was me. Okay? But we can't eat our feelings. If you are overweight, the reason you're overweight, if you have excess body fat, the reason you have that excess body fat is because of what you're eating. I promise you that. And we could refer to that as nutrition. And what I want you to understand is that nutrition is more than just what's on the plate, guys. So as your health coach, if you and I are going to have a free session. Let's say that this is our first session together, right? You've signed up for a program, and I'm gonna sit down and talk with you about some things. I'm sure probably you have some ideas in your head about where it's gonna go. You may think to yourself that I'm gonna question you about the things that you're eating and what kind of exercise and how much you're doing. And that's probably true. We'll get there. But there are some other things that that I like to talk to clients about that are super important, and I wrote them down. I took a couple notes here. I thought I could share them with you guys. So these are super important. There's 4 of them here. Super important concepts that I would ask my clients about if they were paying me, and I'm going to give it to you for free right now. There's 4 of them. Number 1 is blood work. Men, you need to have blood work done. You need to have the medical professional draw your blood. You need to have your blood analyzed because there are numbers that you want to keep your eye on. Okay, and you can have these conversations with your doctor. And as your health coach, I'm happy to follow up with any recommendations that your doctor may make. For example, your blood fats, right? If you have high blood fats, triglycerides, let's say your cholesterol is very high. If you have a lot of fat floating around in your blood, we might want to take that into consideration in terms of your diet, right? Maybe we should start eating some things to soak up some of that fat, some soluble fiber. Maybe if you have really high blood fats, we don't want to go into one of those like ketogenic type diets where we're eating big bricks of cheese and eggs and bacon and all that stuff, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that blood fats can become a problem because we don't want all of that waxy buildup that can end up blocking our blood vessels. So it's something we want to keep an eye on, and we want to know if we're going to undergo any type of diet or even exercise program, any kind of program you're going to undergo that might put your body under some stress. It's why we say you have to consult with your doctor first, because your doctor is the one that has the equipment and technology to be able to take your blood and analyze it And it's very important to know these things moving forward. And one of the really great things about getting blood work done before you begin a program is, as your coach, I can show you then tangible results. Because if you need to get your blood fats down, I know diet ways that can help people do that a lot of times. And blood sugars are something that are just really big nowadays. Understanding certain numbers as it relates to blood sugar, and we could look into what your fasting insulin might be, your fasting blood glucose, your A1C, which gives us a sort of a overall view of maybe what your blood sugar levels tend to be. And guys, we have an overconsumption of carbohydrate and sugar problem in our society. Many of us eat too much of it. I've eaten way too much of it myself. And you know what my doctor tells me? My doctor tells me that when I eat way too much sugar, it puts a lot of strain on my liver. And many otherwise healthy young men are suffering from fatty liver. And it has to do with the amount of something called fructose, which is a type of sugar that's added to our food, and we tend to overconsume it. And some of these numbers, right? We typically don't want our fasted insulin. We don't need our insulin levels to be super high all the time. You don't want to have your insulin levels high all the time. You want to be sensitive to insulin. So you eat a carby food, your insulin spikes, it drives those nutrients into your cells, and then that's it. You're not walking around with elevated insulin all the time. That's bad. If your insulin stays elevated all the time, you become less sensitive to it. That's bad. And a lot of sugar in your blood over the course of a long period of time is bad. So these are just some things to keep in mind, and we're really not gonna know what's going on in there without those actual numbers from that blood work. And then finally, our liver enzyme values. Your liver is a filter organ. It filters your blood. And like I said, when you're eating all that sugar, your filter organs can get clogged up. We can show signs of fatty liver and other types of liver enzyme elevations, indicating that we're stressing that important filter organ, our liver. Same thing goes with our kidneys. They can check your creatinine levels, and it's important to keep an eye on your kidneys as well, and the various numbers associated with your kidneys, because they're an important filtering organ. That's all stuff that your doctor has to do. So get blood work, guys. That's number one. Number two, I would ask you about your sleep. I'm a huge fan of Eric Thomas, and he's a motivational speaker, and I just love the guy as a human being, as a speaker. He is just fire. He pumps me up. I love his voice. I love his passion, his enthusiasm, and he talks about waking up at 3 a.m. every day. And there are many self-help gurus out there that recommend waking up at 4:30, 3 a.m. so you get a jump start in the day, and you kill it and you crush it that way, and you just have more time than everybody else. All those things are true, and I respect you guys. I love you guys. So much strength and power there. It's really admirable. I look up to y'all. But here's what I'm gonna tell you guys about sleep. In my experience, I have found that the more sleep I get, the leaner my body tends to be, the better my body tends to feel. Okay? I'm talking about good sleep, going to bed early, getting up early. So if I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I feel great. If I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, what I find is that I begin to suffer from some inflammation. I begin to suffer from joint pain, and the pain compounds. If I become sleep deprived, I used to I used to work in a factory. That's what I tell people. And at the factory, they would sometimes make me work for like a week straight. I would go into work and they would keep me there. I'd have to work around the clock for like a week straight. And what would begin to happen to me is I would begin to suffer from pain. My back would start to hurt. My knees I would start to feel like old. I would have some old injuries. I have an injury from when I used to work in the factory. They used to send me in to fight with people. They used to send me into cells to fight with people, and so I used to, I have some injuries from that. And when I get sleep deprived, those old aches and pains from those old injuries, they come back, and the pain is just debilitating. And so what I find is that we need to find balance with getting enough sleep so that our bodies are able to recover. Have you ever heard the expression burning the candle at both ends? Well, that's what happens when you don't get enough sleep. You don't recover. And so you start to feel like crap. You start to feel all those aches and pains because all those little injuries that you accumulate over the course of a lifetime, they begin to add up. And boy, I tell you what, I feel the difference between when I get enough sleep and I don't. So get enough sleep, guys. Number 3, stress. Stress. And it ties in to the sleep thing, okay? And one of the reasons why, all right, probably the main reason why, it's a hormonal thing, all right? Stress is good. Stress is good. If you're a gardener, right, you probably put a little fan so that the stems of your plants get strong, or let's say that you like to work out in the gym, right, and you lift weights in the gym, and that stress makes your muscles strong. Or same thing with challenging your mind. Or there are many different sort of examples, I guess, I could give of where stress is beneficial. But where stress starts to become a problem is when you can never get away from it. Chronic stress. The body just isn't designed to deal with chronic stress. The body is designed to deal with moments of stress, and then most of the time, being in a very relaxed, calm, and creative state. What many of us find ourselves in is in a state of elevated stress all the time because of the many stressors in our environment, in our jobs, and in our lives. And, things like this right here, right? That lights up. I feel a little rush of adrenaline. Well, we probably don't need to be exposed to so much adrenaline all day long. And that leads to being in a state of chronic stress. Now, you may have heard of the stress hormone cortisol, which again is good and beneficial when it's not chronically elevated. When cortisol is chronically elevated, it leads to other problems with blood sugar. And so now we're going down that pathway again where we're dealing with elevated blood sugar. Then when you have elevated blood sugar, then what do you have elevated? Insulin, right? Insulin all the time leads to insulin resistance. It starts to not do its job as well anymore. And all that cortisol is eating away at your joints and probably your heart muscle and various important things that you need and wouldn't want to wear down and eat away at. And so stress is a killer. I haven't even mentioned the blood pressure issue, guys, but I'm sure when I said the silent killer, what came to my mind was blood pressure. And I know myself, I've had issues with blood pressure, and it might have something to do with the stress. The blood pressure issue started when I was working in the factory and I was being forced to fight all the time. And, I went on blood pressure meds, and it's a whole nother story. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole there, but it was life-changing stuff in a bad way. So number 4, moving on, the final thing that I would ask you guys about, and I would invite you to explore ways of mitigating inflammation. Now, the sleep, stress, inflammation connection, they're all connected, guys, right? Remember how I mentioned I didn't get enough sleep and I would start feeling just like wicked pain to the point where I could almost not live or do my job? Well, that has to do with inflammation. Inflammation is good. It's a natural response to injury or infection, right? But when it becomes chronically elevated, because of how we're living, because of what we're eating, because of how we're sleeping, because of possible stressors in our environment, in our lives, at work, at home, when inflammation is elevated for long periods of time systemically, guys, it's debilitating. It leads to pain, both mental and physical pain. So I would invite you to explore ways of combating inflammation. And I talk about it a lot on this channel, but one way is cold exposure. I would invite you guys to explore cold plunges and cold showers, because I have found that really helps me with my pain levels, which are significant sometimes. And in terms of the inflammation fighting effects of the cold, it really seems to help my mindset also. And that's why I am a believer in the fact that systemic inflammation, not only do you feel that in the body, you also feel that in your psyche, in your mind. You feel, I guess, you feel, I hear some people talk about feeling depressed, and I've definitely felt down and stuff before, and it was like a funk, right? And that cold, it helps clear up the physical pain, but it also helps to clear up the mental pain. And I feel it's very possible that by combating those inflammation pathways, that's why that's occurring. So guys, aside from all this stuff, that there's still diet and exercise. And diet and exercise can impact those four things that we talked about, and those four things that we talked about can impact your diet and exercise. But reaching your goals, guys, you can do it the hard way or you can do it the easy way. And the easy way is you want to get your blood work so you know where you're at, right? Your doctor can even tell you your hormone levels. So if you're a man and your testosterone levels are in the toilet, you're gonna have a really hard time. You're gonna have a hard life. You're not gonna feel good. So it might be something you want to talk to your doctor about. Again, blood fats, liver enzyme values, kidney function. What's your fasting insulin? Blood glucose, A1C. These things are all pretty important. You might want to know them. A lot of doctors will also test your prostate-specific antigen. Men can be, at risk for prostate cancer. It's something they could take a look at by looking at your blood. Think about it, guys. Your sleep. How are you sleeping? Super important. There's a trade-off between productivity and regenerating. You regenerate your body when you sleep. You can heal. I've seen farm kids. I remember when I was young, when I was in high school, I seen a couple farm kids that got their hands caught in equipment and had their fingers cut off. And over time, they didn't fully grow back, but I could, they showed me, you could see the fingers starting to grow back. Humans regenerate. It just takes a really long time. If you don't sleep, it doesn't happen. Stress. Stress is a killer. We can't always completely eliminate it. And that's good, because stress is good. It's beneficial, right? Stress helps plants grow. It helps us get our muscles strong. It helps us evolve and adapt and overcome and get smarter. But, we just have to find ways of keeping it in check. Mindful breathing, perhaps, right? There's many different techniques. Being aware is key. Mindfulness, just paying attention to, and maybe stepping back from it when we feel like that's what would be best for our organism. And finally, inflammation, guys. Inflammation is a killer. We are on fire as a society, and if you put that fire out, tell you what, you're about to lose some body fat, because I noticed that when I expose myself to cold temperatures, that it really has a very pronounced effect on my body composition. I tend to get leaner when I go out and get in that ice bucket, and I do that for a little while. My pain goes away, so I'm exercising more, I'm moving around pain-free, and it's just like it's a circle of positivity. Did you ever get into a doom loop? It's like the opposite of that. So I hope you found this helpful, or at least interesting. And if you've watched this far, guys, come on, smash that subscribe button, right? I need you. But I do appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.